Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to Broker Connect. We are still getting people joining us in the waiting room here, so I'm going to give it a few seconds and keep letting people in, and then we will kick everything off in just a few seconds here. All right, cool. We can go ahead and get started here. So hello, everyone. Welcome to Broker Connect. My name's Kelly Galloway. I do marketing here at ARIVE. I'm so happy everyone on this call could join us. Thank you guys so much for spending your Friday afternoons with us. For those of you who don't know, Broker Connect is an interactive bi-weekly meeting with top brokers and ARIVE users where you can learn their best practices, get insight into how other people are using the system, just get a ton of helpful tips and tricks as well. I am here today with Michael Kovary and Tom Mancuso. I'm super excited to have them here, but before I turn it over to these folks to introduce themselves and before we open up the floor to all of your questions, we just have a few pieces of ARIVE business to take care of. So if you don't already know, ARIVE offers a ton of weekly learning opportunities, and all of these are completely free. We have 2 sessions of new user training every single Wednesday. Highly recommend that all new users go through this training. We have office hours with our product experts on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have an onboarding and Q&A session. This is really the first piece of ARIVE training that we recommend people take. This is offered 3 times per week. You don't even have to be an ARIVE user to join this one. We also have an AE training session. So if you want your AEs to be better partners to you and to be better versed on the system, tell them to get into this AE training. We have ARIVE University. This is every other Friday. This is where you can learn about all of the updates and enhancements made to the system. And then, of course, we have this session, Broker Connect. This is every other Friday as well. And all of these events that I just mentioned can be found on arive.com/events. All right, that was a lot of talking from me. So now let's dive into the reason why you all are actually here, and let's dive into Broker Connect. So Michael and Tom, welcome. Thank you both for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, All right, Michael, why don't you kick us off and introduce yourself and your brokerage, and then we will slide over to Tom to do the same and then get into some questions.
Great. Well, once again, thank you for having me here today. My name is Michael Kovary. I'm a 33-year veteran of this wonderful industry we're in. And I've seen it come from typing documents to now here we are with ARIVE. I've run the full circle. I am the Executive Vice President of AMS Mortgage Services. We're a relatively mid-sized brokerage based out of New Jersey with licenses in 6 different states. Our focus when we started was essentially to make, it's repetitive in today's day and age, but we started for loan officers by loan officers in a day and age when everybody was a banker, especially in New Jersey. So what we've seen is the full circle, and I'm pleased to be here with ARIVE because I find it to be the best piece of software right now for us to use in our industry for LOS and POS at this point. It's the best combination. So I thank you for having me, and I hand it off to Tom.
Awesome.
Hi, Tom Mancuso, Amerifund. I have a branch under Mancuso Mortgage in Arizona. We're licensed as a company in a little bit over 30 states. I'm only licensed in Arizona. I just like to keep it local. I've been in a mortgage business for almost 4 years now. I have like a 14-year history in automotive finance, back to those days of filling out credit reports by hand and faxing them and just waiting for approvals to come over the fax machine like a mystic land they come from. So technology's obviously changed pretty substantially in how we can do business, and happy to be here. I love being a broker. Love the community is kind of the most special part of this industry, especially this channel that I love so much. Get to spend so much time with so many amazing people, and that's how I really found out about ARIVE, is through Harish. I have a great relationship with Harish, such an amazing person. And so yeah, Kelly and I actually go way back too. I remember meeting her at my first AIM event in Irvine. In, was it 2020, beginning of 2020, I think, March of 2020.
I think it was before that.
Was it? Okay, maybe it was before that. Maybe it was in
Yeah.
2019. That's right when I got licensed. I met Kelly. She was worked at a lender at the time, and we established a relationship right away. She's awesome. So happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I just want to let everyone know on this call, we are super lucky to have these two hosts with us this week. These are super busy people, just like everyone, right? And they're taking time out of their schedules to come answer your questions. We could not be more grateful. So I want to encourage everyone on this call to go ahead, take yourself off of mute and jump right in with your questions. This is not time for us as ARIVE staff to talk at you and tell you all the great things about ARIVE. This is for you to actually get your questions answered. So if you have questions for these folks, please jump right in, unmute yourselves. What are we going to start off with today?
There's a question in the chat. I can't run ARIVE in my Google Chrome. Message box says not secure site and does not allow me to access. I'm definitely not the answer.
I'm not sure our hosts here are the best people to.
I'm just gonna keep it real.
But I can tell you that I run ARIVE in Google Chrome, so I don't have a problem with it in Google Chrome.
So do I. I do have Google Chrome also, so that it's.
Yeah, I've pulled ARIVE out of Chrome. I pulled it off my iPad. I pulled it off in a pinch. I pulled it off my iPhone. I mean, I have the bigger iPhone because I'm a little older and probably more blind than some of the other individuals. But I pulled it off of all of those while traveling, while local. So it does work on those capacities. I probably would talk to one of the ARIVE experts, and maybe it's a setting in your Google Chrome.
Yeah, I would ask that you shoot an email to support@arrive.com for that. And also, as a general rule of thumb for Broker Connect, try to keep questions to things you think another LO could answer, if you guys don't mind.
This is a good point though, and this is actually one of the reasons why I love ARIVE so much, is because I'm not technology smart or savvy, and so like even poor Harish, when I was struggling to learn ARIVE, was like, "I'll train you myself." I was like, "Just make me feel really stupid. Like you have so much on your plate." But this is a good point. Like Vincent brings up, you can email the staff, everyone at ARIVE. You can go on the ARIVE Facebook page. Like I've literally seen people put an idea in the Facebook page, and 2 weeks later Harish was like, "Oh, we implemented that idea." I was like, "What? How is that even possible?" But like that's what's great about ARIVE in this community, is like literally if you share ideas, they can implement some of those ideas. Or if you're running into trouble, you know, Gene, you posted, go post in that Facebook page or reach out to the ARIVE team and they will help you. Like that's what's so great about this community, is everybody helps everybody, and ARIVE is one of the best. I've never seen a platform that's so receptive to feedback and help. So that's what's awesome.
Well, Tom, you came into the number one reason why I went to ARIVE. I mean, I was in Calyx Point for years and in Compass before that. I mean, and I go back to the days of the loan handler and just crazy kind of stuff in this industry. And I met with the Flowifys and the Lendwises and Lending Pad, and I almost felt like I had to have a full-time IT person on board my shop in order to use those pieces of equipment. And when I started doing my research on ARIVE, one of the first things I did was join the Facebook page. And you know, a lot of the questions get answered there. We've all been to meetings and seminars where one person in the room is going to ask 90% of the questions, and for everybody there, the Facebook page will answer a lot of those questions, and it's done very tactfully. It's certainly, and it's not to be confused with the Brokers or Better page. it's its own page. It's a separate entity. I know some people get confused with the two at times, but that I found that to be a life send. And I think it would help anybody with these kind of questions.
Yeah, thanks to you both for bringing that up. The Facebook group, I did drop a link to the group in the chat there. If you are interested in joining our group, it is sort of a wealth of knowledge. You can search for your question. Really, probably 90% of the time, any question that you have is probably already been answered within that Facebook group. So kind of makes your life a little bit easier to be able to get information. And then, of course, to reach out right to the ARIVE staff. We're all in there. We're all checking it out. You can see us in there. So thank you both for bringing that up. So we did get a couple of questions.
Kelly Grayson's got a question in here that I can pick up because I'm active in that.
Go for it.
I'm going to tell you that besides the number one reason, ease of use for our system and the people who use my system, I'm a family-owned company. My wife and I are 50-50 partners in the company. And if any of you are married, and you delegate the duties of mortgage call reports to your spouse, you best use a piece of software that makes life easy for that person. Otherwise, well, you're going to hear it. And I heard it for years with Calyx Point, how terrible the software was, how it took a day to get documentation and data. The mortgage call reports, she gets them done. And again, 1,000+ loans, 6 states. She's getting them done in less than a couple of hours, dealing with NMLS and everyone else versus what she was dealing with Calyx Point. It is very easy. Just make sure that loans that are included in mortgage call reports are there, and use the exclude MCR toggle switch. And I think it's audit in days. In order to keep your reports accurate, but it is super simple.
Awesome.
Almost dummy proof.
Ryan asked, what complementary tech are you using alongside ARIVE to make you more efficient? We have a CRM, outside standalone CRM that we implemented with ARIVE, but ARIVE does a lot. I mean, like Michael said, being able to like access on your phone, because we were on Calyx before this, and then we were on Encompass before that, and so like totally 1980s technology, which like I already feel old in this business, but like that will really make you feel old because it's just like so horrible to use. So the fact that you can just use it on your phone, and like everything you can use on your phone, like you can access the menu and all the different forms, that everything, it's so user friendly. So CRM and really ARIVE, I try not to complicate technology too much. Like I know relationships, I know that, really prospecting and building relationships is what this business really comes down to. And the tech is just, it's not a crutch, it's just a tool when it can be used and how it can be used. And so I don't overcomplicate things. CRM and ARIVE. Alberto, you asked something about soft pulls, and I don't know about this yet, but this is a good.
I do it all the time, Tom. I can grab it if you want.
Yeah, this is a good thing because some of our lenders like UWM now has something where you can start with a soft pull and then go into a hard pull. So Michael, why don't you explain how this works?
Yeah, when you go into your credentials, ARIVE allows you, and it's a lot easier than, again, I'm going from Calyx Point as Tom was. We do soft pulls, and especially with increased credit report costs coming into the new year, we do soft pulls on almost, our policy is to do it on every transaction. Unless the person has a real estate contract that they're already buying a house, we're doing it where it's a refinance, we're doing it on every single transaction because the cost savings is there, especially if you're doing a pre-qualification. And ARIVE allows you to pull soft pulls right into the system. All you're going to do is set that up in your credentials as the default, which I've done for most of my loan officers, made that the default credit reporting. You can't run DU on a soft pull because Fannie and Freddie aren't allowing that. So you're not going to get to that stage of it, but at least you're going to know, and you're going to weed out that 540 credit score that you don't want to do a full tri-merge on. And not only that, it doesn't pull a trigger lead. So you pull a soft pull, everybody on the planet's not calling your prospect. So you can do that right in the credential section of ARIVE. It's super easy. Probably the only downside, which is not an ARIVE problem, but a credit problem, is that when you're doing a soft pull, certain creditors will report to TransUnion slightly different than the other creditors. So you're going to have to go into ARIVE and delete the duplicates, which you would have to do with any other piece of software also. But it's super easy.
Cool. I know Tim was raising his hand.
Yeah, hi guys. I just am new to ARIVE as well. I've been on it for about a couple months now, and there's some features that I just absolutely love, and then maybe I had some questions about maybe some things that you guys might be doing that may help. So one is the mortgage insurance pricing. I don't know, I kind of jump back and forth going to UWM and then getting the pricing and then re-inputting it into ARIVE. Is there a way to price it through ARIVE? That way I could kind of shortcut that going step to UWM. And then my next question was, when I send out my qualification letters to my client, not my qualification letters, but more so my comparing one rate to another, one purchase price to another to my clients. I love that you could do it in the compare offer section. It's a beautiful display. I mean, I love it, especially if you have a couple different rates. But what happens if you have a different purchase price? Can you do it without having to send a separate PDF, so to speak? Can you do like let's say a $600,000 and a $550,000 with different rates and make it look as nice as it is with the setup that they have in there? So those are my two I've seen just thus far. So
I haven't done one where I do different sales prices, Tim. So I haven't run across that. What I hear from most of my people is that their biggest issue is they don't want to disclose when they're doing different lender prices. They don't want to disclose the lender or the program. They would rather see that customized so that the consumer can't try and run to one of those retail branches. That's been my people's biggest issue with that. But as far as different sales prices, I haven't done that, so I can't speak to that.
You can do it. So you can, first of all, you can definitely, ARIVE doesn't show the investors' names when you generate a quote through ARIVE. And if you're in the pricing engine, you can price out a loan, and then you can drop down at the top where it lists like what the purchase price is. You can click on that. It's a drop down, and then you can actually reprice, hang on to your first scenario and compare it to another scenario.
Great.
Awesome.
Good to know. Thank you, Vincent.
Yeah.
Thank you. What about the
This is
MI?
Ravisha. Vincent, do you want to talk about MI? And thank you so much, by the way, Michael and Tom, for taking time. And Tom, your memes are amazing. I must appreciate all the Kalex memes you put together. They make all of us laugh. So thank you for doing that. But the MI question also, Vince, do you want to answer that? The UWM MI, I believe that's what he was asking. So
Specifically, I mean, we get MI numbers. Is that I'm not sure what the MI question was exactly.
So you should be able to price UWM MI in ARIVE. Make sure the scenario is correct. You set up the scenario, 2 borrowers, all that. The MI may change, but you should be able to price Home Point, UWM Caliber MIs in ARIVE, and they should match in their TPO portals. If not, definitely let support know. So we do get actual live MI feeds from our lender partners, the larger ones. So the mortgage insurance quote in ARIVE should match what you see in the TPO portals. And if it is not, please do let us know. That has to be looked into. So.
Okay, great. I haven't seen it, but I'll take a look.
Yeah, I've had loan officers not select the correct lender and not have it priced properly. But when you go through it, like for UWM compared to most, it should price correctly for the MI cost. Art had a question. I'm having trouble adding a co-borrower after borrower 1 completes the application, and we have to add a co-borrower later. What's the shortcut for that? That's just where you go to users and you create the box for the co-borrower. Correct, Michael? That's pretty
Usually
easy.
I'm going into the borrower info screen and then going into manage borrowers and then adding the co-borrower, whether it's a spouse or a separate co-borrower underneath that, as far as a non spousal co-borrower. That's where I'm doing that.
Yeah, so Michael's just explaining, if it's a spouse, you put the new borrower to the right. And then if it's a non-married borrower, like a co-signer, whatever, it goes below. I just ran into that where I had a co-borrower, but it was a father, not a spouse. So yeah, it's fairly easy to do. And then once you enter the information, it sends them everything to complete, the document, everything that's needed.
Right. And I see Paul's on a CRM one. Tom, you're working more with the CRM than mine. I am directly myself. I know I have staff that's doing it, but I don't directly deal with that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't directly deal with it either. Vincent, you might be able, who should there is a CRM that's being built out for ARIVE, is there not?
So we're not necessarily going to have an internal CRM. I mean, there's a lot that goes into the term CRM, and we don't want to mislead. But we are revamping our leads in 2023. I think Harish might actually want to chime in on this because I know he's got some big plans for the lead section.
So yeah, thanks, Vincent. So like you said, CRM is a big term, but we do want to give you efficient leads management, converting leads to loans, giving you alerts when certain things happens. Maybe drip your borrowers. So those things will happen and maybe supporting text messages or SMS. So those things are planned for 2023, and we'll be making announcements when we are closer to launching them. But still, it is primarily geared towards, the deal is in ARIVE or a lead is in ARIVE. How can we seamlessly, let you work on that without leaving the system, syncing data? So we will improve our Zapier APIs as well. I'm sure somebody might ask that to give you more capabilities if you have a sophisticated CRM. So we absolutely want to partner with other tech companies, but our goal is like what, Tom, you were alluding to, technology is already too complex. So how can we keep you in one system as far as we can? That's kind of how we see it. So simple capabilities of giving you alerts, sending, templated emails to borrowers, which we already do today, but doing it based on, rates are coming down or, whatever, 6 months after EPO or MI is dropping off. So simple capabilities we are going to put in next year. So
What the software has allowed you to do is focus more on selling and prospecting. That's what this software has definitely done, because I've done more tech support for my people in Calyx than this. Now, one of the things that I see, first of all, I think Art's looking for when the consumer gets the file. He's having a problem with a consumer input into ARIVE, not our input into ARIVE. At least that's what I'm getting out of what he typed here. I have not had a consumer complain about not being able to add a spouse. But I think that's because he says he's doing what we said, but he could not, the borrower could not add the spouse info. I would say, from my prospect, I would just manually add it for him. If he's having a difficulty, I'm trying to do ease of use for the consumer, but I don't know why a borrower could not add a spouse. What I found is that most issues that I run into ARIVE usually have a lot of user error to it versus software error. I know we don't like to admit that in today's day and age, that we do things wrong, but my staff, almost 99% of the problem they run into with them or their consumers is they've done it incorrectly. Usually they close out the file or something like that, but ARIVE would probably have to be able to help you directly with that in that question.
We have, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go, Tom.
We have somebody who has their hand up. Elias, you have your hand up?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Just wanted to ask about the CRM and integration. I know Harish touched on it right now, but did you say Q1 we're going to be looking at implementing? Because I'm really happy with my CRM and I'm really happy with ARIVE. It's just a matter of both coexisting, because my main thing right now is just the automation for status updates, and currently I'm having to go into the CRM to push out the marketing status update emails.
So the status updates is already live today. So we did start supporting data exchange bidirectional sync between CRM and ARIVE for now, I think 5-6 months. So if you You have to be on the pro plan to get access to that, but then you'll get keys by which you can exchange all loan statuses, update loan data, dates, all that. So we even get back loan data. So again, we will improve that. We have gotten feedback, additional data points, missing data points. So that will get improved. Again, we will announce as we are closer to releasing it. But you should be able to connect your CRM today. There's nothing, you have to be on a different plan, but there's nothing preventing you from doing that. I hope I answered that.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I am on the pro plan and I am using Zapier. I just didn't realize you can configure the status updates. So it's so confusing. But is there a date, like an approximate date of when we are to expect or quarter one, quarter two?
Yeah, it's a continuous project. As I said, we have a big system, so we have to be a little careful. Keeping operational stability, as I've mentioned, is top priority. And then we expose data to partners. So yes, over quarter one, quarter two, even quarter three, as we improve leads, we're going to let you create leads via Zapier. So there will be features coming, but they will follow after the main features roll out. So I don't have exact timelines, unfortunately, at this point, but yes. I would say end of quarter one, you'll have more fields. Have you looked at the current fields? Did you put any feedback? What is missing? We get a lot of feedback on, can you add this field? Can you add that field? That's how we prioritize.
Yeah, so just the year of birth for new file imports, and on the Facebook group, I got some feedback saying that it was a privacy issue.
It is. So I think those things are like FICO score is another good example. We don't have approval from borrowers, like we are sending data to a third-party system, which is your CRM. So we have to change our privacy policy so borrowers know. There are all these disclosure laws. If you are sending consumer information to an external system, does consumer know about that? So that's kind of what we are looking at closely. That's why we gave you the date and month, so at least their birthday is coming up and you can market to them.
Oh, yeah. And I appreciate the compliance part, and that you guys, because that's obviously what we want, is make sure that as long as my concern is just that it at least it's on the horizons to expect, because there's a ton of other features that my CRM is offering me right now as automated closing gives that I'm unable to subscribe because of the lack of integration.
Appreciate that feedback. As I said, as we get closer to adding more fields, more capabilities, that is going to continue as we develop our own capabilities based on our user base. So it's strength. So both will happen in coming years, I would say, starting next year. So
thank you, Harish.
Harish makes a great point in regard to compliance and disclosure and privacy. I don't think that most people who are using these systems really understand that the data that we collect, once we share it to another third-party provider, we're supposed to be disclosing that to a consumer. Certainly regulators understand that, and when they come walking through your door, they're going to ask for your compliance on that. So just be cautious, be smart, because if you work with somebody like the state of New York, they're going to ask you for that. And they will fine. New York likes to tell you to pull out your checkbook. So John had a question about 3.4s. I don't know. I think that's I don't actively work with UWM, so I could tell you that that was one of the reasons it made life easy to use with a lot of lenders. The automatic transfer to files actually allowed us to become one of the largest producers with one of ARIVE's partners, just because it was so easy to automatically transfer 3.4 files and get all of your status updates that my processing staff and my loan officers just almost funneled their entire pipelines to a particular lender on government loans, solely because it made life easy for them. And that kind of piggybacks with the next question that was asked: do they anticipate integrating Rocket? Quite frankly, the more lenders that get integrated into ARIVE, the better our community is. That's always been my belief. This isn't a UWM Rocket conversation. That we'll leave that for the AIM community, and brokers are better and whatnot. But the more lenders that we can have on a software platform gives us the more opportunity in an already challenging market. So if ARIVE can bring in anybody as fast as possible, but once again, that becomes an integration between two different companies and their softwares. That's not the easiest thing to do as flipping a switch. But I'll let ARIVE explain whether or not they plan on bringing in Rocket directly. That's more their conversation than mine.
I think the biggest thing is sharing feedback. I think Michael's right. Like, regardless, it's like baseball teams. You might play for the National League or the American League. You still play the same sport, right? We're not here to pick which team is best. We're trying to make this industry better and this channel better for our consumers and ultimately for ourselves and our families. So I agree with Michael. The more we can get at the table, the better that things can go. I think it's important to share these things, though, especially in the Facebook page or just with ARIVE in general, so they can continue to make the product better for us. And Harish brought up a lot of good things. Like Michael said, you don't really think about the integration with different companies and all the the sensitive information that we deal with, and exchanging that across platforms is a big deal. A lot more goes into that than we probably all appreciate. So yeah, I'm with Michael. The more lenders that we can have access to, the more consumers that can benefit from the ARIVE platform, the more brokers or more lenders that can use ARIVE, the better that it becomes, right? And the more that we can all share ideas and what we want, like Elias, like you're talking about, like the better that ARIVE will get, right? Like it's built for the people, by things that we want to see. That's why I love it so much, because I've never just seen something that can implement what kind of the community wants so fast.
I have a question on the topic of integration. Tom, like you, I am not technologically savvy. And right, our focus is keeping our eye on the ball of origination and relationships. And so to the degree that I can have less stuff moving across platforms, the better. So I love this conversation about maybe building ARIVE out more. And I would encourage Harish, perfect is the enemy of good, right? I mean, just a lot of us are looking for a simple CRM, kind of just a means to continue to keep in touch, like a 2-year set it and forget it campaign. Nothing terribly robust, just something that we can just keep everything under the ARIVE umbrella. A lead management system to start out with, because I'm zapping out to Jungo for that. And then I come back to ARIVE, and then after the file's done, I zap out to HomeBot and back to a post-closing campaign in Jungo. So a very simple system to keep everything under the ARIVE umbrella would be desirable, I think, for us loan officers who are not looking to just build out these incredible systems, but just have something that keeps in touch with our clients. So there's that. The other thing, I saw a comment rolling through, and I'll just mention this. My assistant figured out a way to incorporate embedded video into our fees comparison worksheet in ARIVE, like Mortgage Coach. It's really cool. So that can be done. He's kind of figured that out. Anyway, I'd love to hear.
Paul, we did a training with Tara, who's on this, and Tara has been nothing short of exceptional. As a matter of fact, in the early days of starting to use ARIVE, I'm going to tell you that if I wasn't communicating with Tara, I might have quit. I might have quit using ARIVE, and I'm glad I didn't. But I will tell you that she went through something like that where you can integrate video, and also put together and showed us how to co-brand with realtors on our pre-approval forms to give realtors access, which wound up being really positive for most of my staff. But the video, we're all in a video age now. Everybody's doing video. So I agree with you. That's absolutely detrimental to get yourself into some video feeds out to people, so you can even explain like the loan they're applying for. It's real positive.
Are you guys able to incorporate video in the milestone triggers that go out through ARIVE?
I have not, but that I'm not the person in the company who does that directly. So I could tell you that I'm probably the biggest cheerleader in my company, because we're running with about 50, 60 user licenses at this point. And I'm pretty active with it, but I don't do the actual integration with the marketing for my operation. So I can't answer that directly.
How about lead management? What are you guys doing for lead management? Is there anything in the
Lead management, we're doing a lot what everybody else is doing, a lot of double input. It's a lot of double input. And it's, you know, what we've gained with audited dates and tracking and all of the compliance regulatory steps that ARIVE has made easy for us. We've used those efforts to get into the double input in lead marketing, the marketing campaigns to realtor partners and our business contacts, where we've had to do that a little bit more to kind of keep, as you said very nicely, the eye on the ball. So we've moved our marketing into that area, which we once were doing with Calyx Point, making sure all the dates were correct for compliance and all the data was correct. ARIVE is very intuitive, so it's handled that for us. My people are now focusing on that double input, and it'd be great to eliminate the double input. I just think that in our minds, the solution is a lot easier than what the technology and the regulatory standards are that we have to overcome. So it would be great if there was a one-stop shop where you could just open up your software and all your realtors, all your attorneys, all your past contacts were there and they could all be notified at one time. That would probably be the best piece of software that could be out there. The nice part is, I think, bringing things like this up to ARIVE, they actually listen. Whereas my previous software companies never did. They were like, well, pay your fee and, you know, thank you very much. And we're not trying to make it better. We'll get to it when we get to it. And after 10 corrections after they, you know, Calyx did to me when they changed the URLI, and we had to have 6 different updates to actually get it to work correctly in compliance. And that was painful. And that's why I said I have to start looking. And we did. So I think you're in the right place to get that done. I just think that there's going to be time in order to get that part of it done. And John, yeah, I think your answer is correct. So this question is of cooperation or non-cooperation from lenders. I think ARIVE will do anything feasibly possible a lender will allow them to do, but they have to work inside the lender's parameters also. And anybody at ARIVE can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what you're dealing with.
I'll just chime in once. So thank you, Michael. First of all, you are absolutely correct. You know, the markets are a little bit challenging right now, you know, overall. So lenders are being cautious into how much effort they put into developing integrations and systems. But my colleague Amy is on, I see her on the call. She's working with many lenders right now who are coming back with, you know, renewed interest. When we have something more concrete, maybe Q1 of next year, we will announce which other investors we are adding. And, you know, we are of the same opinion, like, ARIVE is a software platform, you know, more lenders make it better for brokers. That's kind of where we will leave it. But as, you know, anything matures to a level where we can announce it, we will let the community know. So, and thank you, Michael, for shout out to Tara. I know she's amazing. She actually kept everybody running around. You know, these guys are not happy. You have to do something about that. So we were, you know, when you started,
you know, sometime. Yeah, no, she's very,
I'm not sure if she's on the, yeah, she's on.
She's on the call and she's very, you know, listen, I'm, for those of you who don't know me, I am certainly someone who gives credit where credit is due. And, you know, when credit's not due, I also give that also, but.
Thank you.
You know, she's been amazing and single-handedly has made sure that our account is getting the service it needed. I wish you had a company of Taras. I wish we all did. Quite frankly, I wish we all did.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Good shout out. And I will say, just along the topic of this, as you guys said, we are very open to feedback here. We love getting feedback from our users. We love hearing what you guys have to say because it only makes us better. So if you do have those suggestions, if you do have thoughts, you can send them right over to feedback@arive.com.
Okay. And you can make it simpler by have some of the people here. You got to make it easier to do rehabilitation and 203K loans in your system. There's got to be an easier way to do it. I've kind of figured it out with the help of Tara, but to the loan officer on the street who's going to your software for the first time, it's not the simplest, and it shouldn't be the hardest thing in the world to put a 92700 worksheet into the system to be integrated and moved over into the appropriate boxes. I would think not, but then again, I'm not a software developer. But that would be my, one of my suggestions right out of the gate is we're going to be doing more rehabilitation loans in the next 2 years. It's coming, and we should certainly, it should be a little bit easier to do. That's all.
Gotcha. Well, we appreciate your feedback. Thank you, Michael.
You're quite welcome. And everybody, obviously, CRM has been a big one in this meeting also. And I think more lenders. And specifically, the 800-pound gorilla in the room is Rocket. If Rocket gets allowed into this system or not. And I think that's more than just a lender. That's more of a community willing to accept that. And that's something that probably needs to be addressed.
I just got bummed out. I missed Shaq at the Fuse party. I mean, I was kind of crapped out about that because I had the kids at home I had to come take care of. But next time, Harish, I expect some awesome visitor as well, because I was super bummed out about that. That was my man Harish, just out of nowhere gets Shaq at the party. It's awesome.
Tom, they got to schedule it outside of my anniversary. Otherwise, I would have been there again this year.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm gonna definitely put that on my calendar ahead of time next year. Rama has a question.
Yeah, no question. I just want to thank Harish, even though I called him on a holiday, that too around 6 p.m. He was able to respond to me, and also equally to Tara and Vincent. I'm not a technology savvy, Tom, as you know. All the people are helping me. So I just would like to thank Harish, Tara, and Vincent for supporting me.
no.
Seriously, that's what makes ARIVE the best. It is.
Appreciate you, Rama.
It's what makes the system the best, because like any other system feels like a black hole, or like you're literally looking for like some Star Wars Darth Vader person to help you.
Dealing with the gas company, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's just like a mystic abyss of trying to get help, and ARIVE is the opposite. And I love that we can have these conversations about things that we want to improve, and nobody takes it personal. And there's obviously a lot to go through with some of these implementing new things or new lenders, but they obviously work on it, right? And they try to make it better for us. So I'm really appreciative of that. Rama, thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. That really goes to a testament of how great this company is and the system is.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys, we have a few more minutes here. So I want to make sure everybody who has a question gets in there and asks that question. You can drop it in the chat, or you can just take yourself off of mute and jump right into the conversation. Okay, so there's some more lender talk in the chat here. Any specific questions for these two, maybe about how they set things up? What's, some features that have really helped or changed their business? Actually, let's talk about that. So I know, Michael, you had talked about call reports were sort of a big change for you, right? Made everyone's lives easier. What are maybe some other features that you or your team really love and have sort of, changed the game for you?
It's my team generally did things a lot the old-fashioned way, where they were asking consumers for data and consumers were sending them data, not necessarily using a POS at all in some cases. And what they found is, because they all believed that they were dealing with a quality of client that was computer illiterate, that would never upload documents, never send in documents to you as the lender through a portal. And quite frankly, it's been disproven very, very quickly that even the most illiterate computer person still knows how to take a picture of their pay stub and upload it into the ARIVE portal. And it's made life easier because of that. Instead of, even as recently as last year, I had loan officers who were going to consumers' houses and picking up data and copying it and bringing it back to them. And that's a giant waste of time. So the client needs list, use it. It's so valuable, and it saves so much time on our end. And it keeps the consumer in the loop. The consumer can never say I never knew you needed that. And ARIVE has been able to document that with email logs and whatnot. So awesome in an awesome way. So yeah, it's been good from that standpoint where it's helped my loan officers do more.
Great.
That's been helpful.
I wanted just to really quick. So Christopher, your question about UWM, I think it brings up a larger point that we all need to understand. And this goes along with the CRM questions and things like that. I think we have to understand that like UWM, there are lenders, there are companies that want to keep everything internal, right? Like they have their Blink system. They like their Blink system. They like to promote that. UWM wants to keep everyone into the UWM bucket, rightfully so, right? They're a very big lender. They want to capitalize on as much business as possible. And that's okay. They're fine to do that. They're a great lender. But at the same time, I like owning my data. I like having my data separate from a lender. I used to use Blink for all my applications, but then I started to think, well, now UWM in a way has all my data, right? Like that's not a separate entity. I don't have my applications separately. So I think we as business professionals, entrepreneurs, business owners, loan officers, we have to understand that we need to look at keeping our data separate at something that has the most features and uses possible. With applications and everything in ARIVE, I can send it out to whatever lender I want to. Obviously, they're working on adding some additional lenders. That's something that's being worked on. But let's not get down to the nitty gritty on why somebody doesn't integrate. I'm sure Matt Ishbia has plenty of reasons why he wants to do things under Blink, as I'm sure Harish has his own reasons why ARIVE is set up the way that it is. At the same time, I don't need the best of everything in one spot. I can find the best operating system in ARIVE and use it with the best lenders that I see fit. But ultimately, everything is in ARIVE. And I will tell you, if anyone has made a transition from Blink to ARIVE, ARIVE has so many more user-friendly features and is so much easier to use and is much more thorough, especially like Michael was talking about. I have the big iPhone also. Like I'm that guy. I like to be out doing things, meeting people, talking to realtors, customers, even where places where I'm a patron of, and having ARIVE on my phone and the simplicity of use is just so much more user-friendly. For some of the people on this call that are not tech geniuses, it's just simple. I've got a shortcut. I go to there. Like my biggest problem is getting my security code and logging in at the same time on my phone. Like that's literally my holdup. And if that is my biggest hurdle to get over, once I'm in the ARIVE system and I can access all of my applications and docs, like that's what makes it great, because I don't have to sit in front of my computer and wait to log into Encompass or Calyx. Like no way. So I don't know why they don't integrate. The only people that could probably answer that is Matt Ishbia and Harish, and who cares? I don't need it to integrate. I don't need everything to be the best of the best. We asked UWM, they said you can run DU through Blink, but yes, you can, but it runs to UWM's guidelines and overlays. So it's not a true DU or LP run like you would get through ARIVE. So there's a number of benefits of keeping things separate, finding what works for you as the loan officer. Same thing with a CRM. What works best for you? Don't overcomplicate it. What do you need? What don't you need? Don't pay for a system that has a bunch of things you're not going to use. I'm sure we can get the best of the best, but let's be honest. Auto manufacturers, they don't all make the best cars. You don't have the full line of everything that Honda offers is the best of the best. I love BMWs. I don't love every BMW car. That's just how it comes down to it, right? They're a great manufacturer, but they don't make the best of everything. So while I do want the best of everything, in the meantime, I'm going to use whatever systems have the best features for me and my business. We have to look at our business and how we run our business and find what works best. Andres asked, can we edit the realtor link invite so it looks more user-friendly? Currently, it includes the agent's name at the end, but the beginning looks like a code. That's a very technical question I have no clue about.
Yeah, any of our support experts on here want to chime in on that? No.
Which
One
question?
thing, guys, one thing. One thing I have found, we were talking about videos, I've started to make note of anything people have questions on, and then I do short videos on those things, but I don't do it just direct to like Amy. I'm not like, oh, Amy, yeah, your application question about adding a co-borrower. No, I just make a video about how to add a co-borrower or something like that, because then I know if I'm getting that question from somebody, I'm probably going to get it more than once. So I've started to kind of make a catalog of these videos to answer those questions, and then I can quickly send them out if somebody has a question. That's something that is really simplified, writing out email instructions. I used to sit there and write it all out. Like, no, now I send a 30-second video. Hey, yeah, go back into your application link. This is what you do. This is how you do it. Here's where you go. So that's something that's really helped me as well.
Awesome.
Christopher asked about make my pal look more sexy. Not really sure what that is. Vincent answered Andreas's question.
I want to know more about
Yeah.
how Chris's pals look more sexy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Chris,
Chris, are you there? Can you unmute yourself and ask?
I'm guessing he's talking about a pre-approval letter.
Oh, that's a great guess. PAL, pre-approval letter.
Thank you, Alicia. We're definitely slow on that. It's,
Oh my
it's
God,
Friday
get
though.
in the game. Get in
Oh,
the
man.
game.
All right, Jason, you can unmute now after we
Oh,
already have
man.
the answer. Could have chimed in sooner. You can edit the pre-approval letter in the company settings. And if you're really good with computers, which I am not at this level, there's a code view where you can actually like input the HTML. And some people have gotten really fancy with their pre-approval letters. I can't help you with that. You have to go find like someone that's good with HTML to help you out with that. But in company settings, you can totally customize the pre-approval letter, add pictures, add your logo. I mean, the logo should be on there already, but you have some tools at your hands in the company settings.
We in Arizona, we have a standard pre-qualification letter that we have to send out. And so we have that integrated in ARIVE. I need to figure out or really get with you guys because I would like it to not show the interest rate and just say market. And I don't know if that's a possibility because I don't like putting the interest rate on there. Number one, I pre-qualify somebody today and they get an offer accepted a month later. Rates have totally changed, but it also invites agents to get a little too much into the details, like, you know, and start referring people or suggesting they should talk to other lenders. I just don't like playing that. I also want to explain to clients. That's an opportunity to explain to clients. Why does it say market where my interest rate is? Well, let me explain to you. Interest rates change daily, multiple times per day. I'm qualifying you based on just a par rate right now with one lender. You know, we have 37 lenders and they all have like 10 or 12 different interest rates per program. So, so that's something that I love. We can integrate that. I love that you can customize your pre-qualification letter or pre-approval letter in whatever state. I wish we had that in Arizona. We don't, but we do try and, I guess snazz it up as much as possible that we can. And that's where the videos come in and things like that, because I do videos going over pre-qualification or pre-approval letters for agents and borrowers. And I found that that is most helpful.
To your point about the interest rate. So I thought that we just we followed what the compliant doc had to be. So like all the fields that we added, I thought were required. But you can, before you generate it, if you're in the disclosure forms tab and you click on it, you can clear out any information you want to get rid of. It'll still say interest rate there. It'll just be blank next to it. I don't know if that's what you're looking for, if that's like too of a not clean look for you, but I was under the impression we needed to have that field there, whether or not you wanted to use it, but I'm not in Arizona like you, so.
Yeah, and I don't know, and it comes down to the wording also, like Arizona, it is called a pre-qualification letter. Like it does not say pre-approval anywhere on it. So this probably goes into the, the lifelong discussion of what's a pre-approval, what's a pre-qualification. Live underwriters looked at it, just AUS. That's way over my head. I mean, so there's probably a lot to that. But I just love that you guys integrated the form. Our LSUs, it's so nice and easy. And again, I wish some of our lenders would understand that 50 states, each state's different. I love that ARIVE and understands that, and you guys are good with that. We're talking about UWM, I could get UWM to understand the tax rate is different in states. That would be great. Who else has questions? Like any?
I have a
unmute yourself.
question.
Yes.
Hi, guys. Hi,
Hi.
Tara. I miss you. My name is Teresa. I run a small broker shop in Southern California. And so we've already boarded on Arrive. We're using it. Like we're all good in that space. And a month ago, I was like really tasking on, okay, I have to get rid of this $450 point bundle where I'm paying for the web server and paying for point and seats and point, and then getting all of my data off and going to the desktop version. And then there was someone that had reached out to me. I didn't call them right away. And I still can't find their number, but they're all call me because I can tell you exactly what to do. So I've been looking for that name for a few days. So I thought I would hop on here and see if you guys had any insight or advice that you could offer me to get rid of my point files. And then my other loan officers, we've been in the business since like the late 90s, and we've always used point. And anytime we tried to get away from point, it was a whole learning process and it just didn't work for us. And so I'm really trying to get everybody off point, but I do have like new people. So I thought if I could give them the point desktop, so worst case, they could at least get in there and work up their stuff and gradually have them on board. And they're not like big volume people. So for them, if they do a loan, like, once a month or every 3 months, like for them to go train for 2 or 3 weeks on a system isn't really practical for them. And I'm just trying to make it easy. I'm trying to make that integration easy and save money. I want to save money too.
I've actually integrated pretty well. Like I didn't struggle that much, but also the Facebook group was a huge help. Like literally just being able to ask so many users really helped out. Don't get me wrong, Harish was way too available to help me out also. But like Jason Glass is one of my friends. Like a lot of friends that I know use Arrive, and it was actually it's very user friendly. So I'm probably not the best person to answer that. I used Calyx for a couple of years. And Michael, do you have you've been in this business for a very long time. Can you share some feedback on that?
Well, you're trying to tell me that I'm old, and I appreciate that.
We're probably about the same age, so I don't know about that.
Well, you know what? If you're over 50, then I absolutely appreciate that from you.
Close.
Okay, so we're not quite the same age.
I agree with what Paul Martinez said.
I'll tell you this right off the bat, Teresa. I have been integrating from Calyx since February, March. And again, I have about 50, 60 users thereabouts.
Wow.
And we started with just 3 or 4 of us to get to know the system.
Mm-hmm.
And we started integrating more and more and more. You're eventually going to have a problem with these lower end producers that you said, because you're going to have mortgage call reports. You're going to have to integrate the data between 2 systems. Because remember, if you originate a loan, you're supposed to be reporting that.
Well, what I was going to do is for the people that don't want to get with the program, we're going to charge you a certain amount of money that will transfer it over. So like I charge them like an extra processing fee or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I would tell you that you're causing more aggravation. Arrive is so much easier than Calyx. I've gone to a point where we had all those user licenses. I am now down to 3 Calyx user licenses.
Wow, that's awesome.
And one I'm always going to keep, because obviously for compliance positions, you've got to keep them for, keep data for 4 years. And as Tom mentioned before, I had to step away for a minute, but he was mentioning about your data is your data and you want to keep your data. I'm going to hold on to that 1 user license for as long as feasibly possible. But you're going to find yourself answering a lot of Calyx questions while you're working on focusing on Arrive. And eventually you're going to get aggravated. I know I do. I know when I'm working with someone who's on Calyx in my company, and it's like, why are you still in Calyx? Well, how do I run LP? Because LP is separate than in Arrive. And how do I want to see if LP is going to give me, a better finding. It's like, okay, well, one, Arrive is going to tell you what your LP error is. Calyx doesn't. And now you're sitting here trying to dig through their file to find that. It's just time that you're going to waste.
Right. I like, thank you for pointing that out. And I'm taking all that under advisement. But mechanically, with my Point Central, am I gonna, like, I've had Point Central since I think, I don't know, whenever it came out. So I have, I don't know, 2,000 files in there or something. So do I have to download? How did you get them? Do you have to download each one?
I only moved active files from Calyx over into ARIVE. I only moved active ones.
So do you keep you have a one Point Central seat that you use?
I'm going to keep one Point Central seat until someone makes integration simple. And until integration is simple, I'm just going to leave it there. Plus, I use Point Central as data storage also. So I have all of the documents for regulators in each consumer's personal file in Point Central.
So I read something where, so I thought that ARIVE was going to be like, okay, it was going to replace Point, right? It would be my data collection center. But then I read something where the files only stay in there like 3 or 4 years. How long do they stay in the system?
Well, and again, that's a question for ARIVE, and I'm sure ARIVE can answer that. I was told very much the same thing, but you can keep yourself a separate SharePoint file as long as you secure it. And I would tell you to use 128 to 256 bit encryption in order to store any documentation from a consumer for long term. But again, from a regulatory standpoint, I think the most I have from any state is 4 years that I'm licensed in. So that's all I need to keep their actual data for. Now, remind you, what's really the documents that are going to last longer than 4 years? Not their 1040s, not their tax, not their pay stubs or bank statements, the closing statement, because you want to see what you actually close them at. I mean, that's really what you're looking at as far as a document goes. So do you really need it more than 4 years? Do you really need all that data? That's a question.
I don't know. I'm just used to keeping everything forever. So I don't know.
Think
That's a
about,
great question. Yeah.
and think about the potential liability you have keeping all of that data and it gets into the wrong person's hands.
Fair enough. All right. I like
Now,
it.
I'll add something, Teresa. We do save our when we migrated from Point, we saved all of our 3.4 files so that we've got them if and when we need them. And that was, we just migrated the data that we were going to use in our CRM for what we were working with. But we just saved the files. And I do find that handy that
So all of our closed files, we close out a file. I have Surefire CRM. So we put so I'm not a big, I can't think of what the name is. Like we're a small company. So we don't have like the integrations that the big companies have. So we put the outline of the deal into Surefire. So I'm wondering, I'm thinking that Michael is on point with that. Like, I mean, really, do you need it past 3 or 4 years? That's like great. That's a great observation.
I'll even say this, if you've been in this business for a while, inevitably you're always going to get, you're always going to get some piece of document. You're always going to get a request, I should say. Recently, I got a request from the FDIC because they're investigating Washington Mutual from 2008. Okay, think about that, from 2008. So they sent me, a subpoena for records. And quite frankly, I can write back to them with a clear mind that I don't have any data from 2008 to share with you. I'm sorry, I just don't. I'm not required to have it by law. So I'm not lying to it. And I don't have to deal with that particular subpoena. It's, and it probably saved me about $750 in attorney fees to draft up a letter to say that.
Somebody asked the question about inputting files into Dropbox or Citrix. So we started using the Dropbox system probably like, I don't know, in 2018 or 19 or whatever. We were still like all in the office, paper files. I know it's terrible, but that's how we lived. And so we started using Dropbox. So we put all of the closed files into Dropbox, but just not the 3.4 folder. So again, like why do we even need that data? Okay. I'm so glad I hopped on today.
What Teresa, I think the other thing you have to look at is if you have loan officers working for you that only close 1 or 2 files and they're holding on to consumers' documents for 3+ years themselves, that opens a regulatory issue for you.
Okay.
As well as their own license. So it's something that, again, in this day and age where people's computers get hacked, make sure that you have policies in place that tell your employees that they're not allowed to hold on to consumers' data on their own personal computers. And they should be,
like that.
That's what we do here.
They log into my web server to get, like, they don't have the desktop point. And I'm a mortgage and real estate office. So, you know, these are people that are doing, I don't know, 7 or 8 real estate transactions and, you know, maybe 10 loan transactions. I mean, in the good old days of 2020, 21, you know, they were doing like 50 or 60 loans, but things are different now. Great question. Please let me know your contact information. Okay.
Yeah, I think this has been an awesome subject. I'm so glad, Teresa, you were able to hop on and ask some questions. We appreciate you being here. We especially appreciate our hosts for being here, Michael and
They're
Tom.
so smart. Like, I'm
That's
so
been
impressed by you
awesome.
guys.
Yeah, you guys have been awesome. Shared so much knowledge with everyone. We know that you guys are busy, so we really appreciate you being here and answering all of these questions. So big round of applause for our hosts. Thank you both so much for being here.
No, you're all welcome. And anybody wants to just ask a question at any time, send me an email, drop me a line. It's the first time I've met Tom. I've seen him and heard about him so many times. We have a mutual friend I emailed him on. You know what? I know that if I ever have a question about Arizona, I'm calling him up right out of the gate.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you for having us, Kelly. Thank you, Harish, Vincent. Awesome to see you guys. Thank you so much for everything. And if I can help anybody with anything or help you find the answers for anything, please reach out. I'm always willing to help.
You guys are the best. All right, guys, we'll be back with this session after the new year. So tune in then. Everyone, happy holidays. Happy New Year.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care now.
Thank you.